My name is Dal Kennedy. I'm the Communications Director for Bulloch County. I want to thank the media folks that are here helping us get the message out to the community and beyond, the folks that are invested in what has happened here in Bulloch County in the last couple of days. Words like historic and unprecedented sometimes have a good connotation. This week in Bulloch County, they don't. We have seen catastrophic conditions and damage here in this community over the last couple of days with rain from Tropical Storm Debby. I want to introduce the folks that are going to be speaking to you here in order. Bulloch County Commission Chairman Roy Thompson is immediately behind me to the left. County Manager Tom Couch to my right. Corey Kemp is the Emergency Management Agency Director here for Bulloch County to my right. Sheriff Noel Brown to my left. Captain Chris Rodewalt from Georgia State Patrol, Troop F Commander to the far left, and Mark Sexton is the Deputy Director of GEMA, and he will be speaking to far right over here. We're going to ask those folks to come up in order, make some statements, then we'll make folks available for questions moving forward. We want to let the public know what is going on in sort of a fluid, dynamic situation here in this community as we're trying to keep things updated, let them know what's going on. We're going to start off things with Commission Chairman Roy Thompson.
Thank you, Dal, and I'd also like to thank all the media that's here, WTOC, WSAV, and WJCL for being here and having us here, and welcome to the EEOC building of Bulloch County. I would also like to say this is an unprecedented event. We've never been here and had to do anything like this before, as far as this catastrophic storm that we have had. We're going to continue our rescue operations. We've been faced with a lot of things we've never been faced before. That's evacuating homes in the middle of the night. I apologize for the cap. My power went off this morning at 12:04 and came back on around lunchtime today, so I decided to wear a cap to this event. I also would like to thank a few churches and businesses. If y'all do not mind, if you would bear with me, Pittman Park Church does have a shelter in place, and they have room for 50, and I think there's roughly 27 there. First Presbyterian Church is the secondary shelter that will be in place. Fostering Bulloch, Feed the Borough, South Breach Church, Three Trees Coffee, Statesboro First Methodist, Compassion Church, and all of these up to this point, and I know there's going to be many, many, many more. Most of all, I would like to thank the ones here that are doing the planning, but the ones I really want to thank are those that's out there with the boots on the ground. They're the ones that's making it all happen. They've been out there, probably some of them 24-hour periods, I suppose. I'm 78 plus years old and have never seen anything like this before in Bulloch County. It's amazing of what has happened, and amazing what is going to continue to happen till all these waters get out of here. I ask every citizen to please be safe and come out only when as necessary. And so I appreciate again each of you being here, and we're just proud that we live in Bulloch County and we have the cooperation that we do with everyone that works for the county. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Last night when we left the EOC here, we thought we were beginning to be in recovery mode, but as we came into the night and as we woke up in the morning, we discovered that we still remain in response mode, and it looks like it may be that way for a few more days. We're hoping the rain's going to begin to recede, but in the meantime, the heavy rainfall and flooding that we've received, especially on the south side of the county, has been very damaging to our roads, bridges, and drainage infrastructure. but it's not the south side alone. Virtually all the county is affected, but we have some dam and pond breaches occurring more so on the south side. We just have a lot of turbidity in the waterways right now. And despite the fact that we have, to my knowledge, no fatalities yet or widespread power outages. There was a screen up there that showed very few a minute ago. But I think our roads and bridges infrastructure is going to be the elephant in the room after all of the rescue responses are finished. And we're still at risk of further damage. The rain, again, has caused multiple breaches. In fact, we have local and state officials flying in a helicopter right now, still yet, surveying from the air what's going on. So these reports are going to keep coming in. I've seen a picture where I-16 is nearly overflowing. And even though my discussion is going to be more in line about transportation and road infrastructure, I have had contact with the Georgia Department of Transportation. Unfortunately, because they've got a lot of boots on the ground right now, they weren't able to have a representative to come here and speak at this conference. But I can assure you those boots are on the ground, and they're working on response just like our local folks are. And we have a lot of other state partners here today, from GEMA, again, the State Patrol. We know folks from DNR and Forestry are out there. So we're very appreciative of our state partners. And we've gotten calls from our federal partners too to see how they can help. And then our volunteers through VOAD and other means, we really have a lot of people working on this. Now, the rain that's being forecasted, even though it's receding, the root systems in the trees are very shallow. We could still have debris falling in the road. Again, I've said earlier, we've been lucky with that, but there still could be some blockages that occur. Many paved roads are closed. Virtually all dirt roads are impassable. And we always remind people of this, but we have the most dirt roads of any county in Georgia. But what we don't often tell people is that we have the most number, or the most mileage of local paved roads as far as a rural or semi-rural county in Georgia is concerned. We have more local paved roads than a lot of metro counties have. So we have to be conscious of that as well. And restoring the infrastructure is going to be time consuming because of the size of the extensive road system. So decisions have to be made on accurate data, but we are going to take the following steps to try to restore the road infrastructure just as soon as we possibly can. We've already initiated damage assessments for all roads with the aim to complete them next week. And assessments for bridges and other major culverts are going to take a little bit longer because inspections are typically required by the state, but it's my understanding, again, the DOT has boots on the ground with bridge experts who are coming out. We have a lot of bridges in Bulloch County, just like we have dirt road mileage. And what we intend to do is we're going to triage our road infrastructure restoration efforts, and all resources are going to be dedicated to the recovery endeavor once we're through with response. We've set up some project recovery milestones, but then yet they'll still be determined by the assessments. We are coordinating with schools, courts, and other institutions to address closures and reopenings. You may have heard in the media that Bulloch County schools, public schools, K-12, will be closed through the end of the week, possibly into next week. They're going to evaluate that over the weekend in concert with public safety and the sheriff's department. And we still collaborate with municipalities and businesses to manage the logistics of response and recovery. And we expect there's going to be transportation delays, detours, and other kinds of project interruptions as we try to respond and recover. We're working on establishing an interactive mapping tool that we can put it on social media and other media where we can keep the public informed of what's going on. We're collaborating again with our regional, state, and federal partners, whether it's financial, technical, or in-kind assistance. We've reallocated $1 million in T-SPLOST money for critical rapid response projects, but also to provide us with either support personnel, vendors, or contractors, because when it does dry off and it's time to regrade dirt roads, I don't think our county road department is going to be able to handle it all at once, so in all likelihood be seeking help. We've also implemented our emergency purchasing policies to provide flexibility to Public Works and Public Safety divisions, not only to address road and bridge infrastructure, but other response and recovery issues. And finally, while it isn't always sexy, but we have to keep the solid waste and the garbage moving out of the community. That's a public health effort. Currently, we don't see any interruptions with getting waste to our transfer station here in Statesboro. So going forward, I think everybody up to know that this is going to be a longer process. We do ask everybody to be patient because, as the chairman said, this is an unprecedented event. As Mr. Kennedy said, it's unprecedented, and we are still trying to assess everything that's going on. But I can tell you that we've got all hands on deck, whether it's volunteer, local, state, or federal. Thank you, and I'll defer to our EMA director, Mr. Kennedy.
Good afternoon, Corey Kemp, Director of Emergency Management. I would like to update you on public safety numbers as of noon today, and it goes all the way back from 8 a.m. Currently, we have about 100 road closures, 4 dam breaches, 10 water rescue calls where we have rescued over 75 people. 27 of those are in shelters. We have had 67 fire responses, 75 EMS calls, and we had a total amount of calls of 1,431. Going forward, we would like to ask you to continue to stay off the roads. Also, we will continue to update the Facebook page with the most current information as we can. And last, we do have an abundant amount of resources that we can use going forward, so please continue to call 911 if you need help.
Again, y'all been told we thank y'all for coming today and getting an update from us here in Bulloch County. As always, I tell the citizens that we love them. I do love them, but I need them to love us back right now. I'm not talking just the sheriff's office, all the men and women in our office, boots on the ground, but also our fire, our ambulance services, our 911 systems, all first responders out there, our public works, who also is on the scene right along with us. First responders are taking care of what the needs are in this county. Folks, what I'm seeing right now that disturbs me as we're still dealing with bad situations with high water and undefined depths on how deep it may be, is we have our citizens, whether they are here local or people passing through that may be working or delivering stuff by way of commercial or here working, driving through barricades. I'm not going to tolerate that. Number one, that warning is there for a reason. There's a hazard. I've said it. I talked to the media yesterday. I talked to them, I think, twice already about this. I don't know what I'm going to be able to do to get it through to you. The sign is not there for beautification. The sign is there for a warning not to use that road. When we take them up, it may be safe. If it's still there and the water has receded, folks, it might be still a washout place that you might run your vehicle right off in. I'm just asking, please follow directions. We've got a lot of hard-working people that's tired, that's been out there from several agencies, all different levels. I think we've, again, reached out to federal agencies, state agencies, some that will be speaking to you in a few moments about different things, having to do with concerns about your personal residences, insurance stuff, all that. That is not a responsibility of the sheriff's office, but it's a responsibility of the sheriff to make sure he gets those type of people in the area to talk with you about that. Working along with our emergency management director, Corey Kemp, we've had that happen. We've got them in the area, and as the days go on, that will get better to be able to talk to y'all and maybe free up some questions on your mind with answers, because people want answers during times like this. But as your sheriff, once again, I ask you, the most important thing is if you have no reason to be out on the roads, please don't get out and hamper people that are trying to get out and assess damage and see if we can open a roadway back up. I'm going to turn the podium over to Captain Chris Rowalk, the State Patrol, dear friend of mine that I grew up and raised through the ranks with, and I feel like he's got a message too to send about our state routes. Again, work with us, folks, and we'll get through this in time. Thank you, and we love you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Like the sheriff said, I'm Chris Rowald. I'm the Troop F commander with the Georgia State Patrol. We handle everything east of Bibb County all the way down to I-95. So we got a large area that's been affected by this weather event. And like the sheriff said, one of the things that makes me very proud is to be able to stand shoulder to shoulder and have a very, very good working relationship with our state, local, and federal partners. The communication is great. Everybody's willing to help each other, jump out there, get knee deep in the mud with each other to make sure everybody's safe. The Georgia Department of Public Safety is just that. We're out there for the public safety. My troopers are out there working nonstop, 24/7 to make sure that the highways are safe. One of the things we'll ask you to do is if you see something that we haven't found yet, call it in, post it on social media. We're trying to keep a comprehensive list of the hazards so that we can pass them along, because our office is inundated with calls from the public wanting to know if this road's open, if that road's open. So help us with that if you can. Pass it along if you see a tree down or water over the road or anything like that, so we can get that out the best we can. And once again, just to keep everybody safe. One more thing I'd like to pass along is, as I heard it mentioned earlier, the ground's saturated, folks. The ground's wet, and we have a lot of trees along the roads that's in peril of falling. And I'm going to tell you, I did not realize how invisible they are until I run up on a few back during Hurricane Matthew. A downed tree after dark is virtually impossible to see. We have our highways lined with big oak trees, and when they fall down, they blend in perfectly with the highway. So I would caution you, unless it's an absolute dire emergency, to please stay off the highways, especially after dark, because they can fall down in just a matter of a few minutes, and the next thing you know, you're driving into one. So I don't want to see that happen. If you have any questions or concerns, please call Bulloch County or the Georgia State Patrol, and we'll try to help you any way we can. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. My name is Mark Sexton. I'm one of the deputy directors at the Georgia Emergency Management and Homeland Security Agency. I appreciate the opportunity to join the team here this afternoon to present some information. The state's been actively engaged in our preparation and response activities, basically beginning back this past Saturday. We have numerous state resources on the ground. We've got approximately 250 National Guard soldiers who have been activated and down here in the area working some missions. They primarily work so far in support of the Georgia Department of Transportation with some signage and some barrier materials. We've had aviation support from multiple state agencies flying several missions for the reconnaissance, trying to get an assessment of the actual situation with the different rivers here in the local area. We're tracking approximately 9 dams across the southeastern region here that have issues. We've only had one actual complete failure on one, and that was up in Screven County, and unfortunately water from that's kind of showing up down here as we go through the day today. We've got one of the teams that we've specifically got on hand. We've got an incident management team from different communities around the state that's headquartered over here at the Technical College. They are in charge of all the water response resources from the state. And I'd like to thank all the other localities that have sent their personnel over here to be a part of that response. So you've got folks from all across the state, specifically Columbus and Perry, have some of their teams out here with their water rescue folks. Under the governor's guidance, we're here to get you as many resources as you need. We are actively monitoring still at the State Operations Center from resource requests across the entire southeastern region here of the state. Things are looking pretty good, actually, for east you go. I was able to be in Savannah yesterday, and things, I don't know what they did with 10 inches of rain yesterday, but it went pretty quickly over there, so things are looking good. Obviously, the water that's still coming down, or has come down, is going to flow down through all the river systems. So that's our highest concern now, is just continued flooding as those waters make their way to the coast. But we stand ready to combine with the state and federal resources. We have Federal Emergency Management Agency representatives at our State Operations Center already in direct coordination with us, ready to push federal resources our way as needed. And we look forward to getting the actual assessments done and making sure we finalize some of the administrative paperwork to ensure that the federal funding will be able to come in and support all the recovery operations as we move forward. But we're here on the ground with you and your local team, and we're here to support you. So thank you for the honor.
I want to open this up now for questions from any of the folks that are here in the local media. We'll channel that question to the appropriate agency or personnel.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a little bit about, like, there's a lot of agencies here. Could you explain how many different agencies have come into the county, or the ones that are here?
Well, Mr. Sexton may know of others, but I think I previously mentioned, in addition to GEMA, Georgia Department of Natural Resources, Forestry, it's my understanding, and I failed to mention, the State Insurance Commissioner, they have personnel here. If there are others that we didn't know about or we missed, and I also, we'll come back and let you know, but I also failed to mention the local help we were getting from Columbus, Perry, and I believe I've seen some people here from Effingham County as well. So we are very humbled and ennobled that we're getting various types of assistance. But again, like when we woke up this morning, we didn't realize it was quite so bad, and it is bad. But that's why we appreciate all the help.
I have a question when it comes to the dams. I know that one broke in Scrubbin County, and there's 9, you say now, that are threatened. If those break, what should people prepare for? What should people that live in that area be thinking about doing in case one of those dams does break?
Yes, and that's accurate on the number we're tracking issues with right now. The best thing we can do is preparation for folks to go ahead prior to those events taking place and just make sure they've got a plan on evacuation and just an assessment of what they actually need at their own residence and their ability, their plan to transport themselves out and what they physically need to take with them versus what they'd like to take with them. But yeah, the time for that planning is almost over with in some of these cases. So if they're not already ready to move, they need to, it's an individual preparation thing that families should be looking at this point. So,
and can we get any updates on the Cypress Lake Dam? I know we were covering that a little bit earlier this morning and checking on it.
We're hopeful, thank you. We're hopeful that the folks who are up in the air, when they can finally get back on the ground, well, we can tell it's raining already, what luck. But if they can get back on the ground and we can get a report, I feel like we can follow up and get you the information you need on Cypress Lake. But it isn't pretty.
Whenever people are saying things like catastrophic amount of rain, and they're telling you guys that, was the county expecting this much rain?
No.
I'll take this one. Being 78 years old, never have seen anything like this. Mostly probably, somebody correct me, 3-4 inches, 5 inches sometimes, but not to the amount that we've got. While I'm answering this, can I correct a problem? It's not a problem, it's an overlook somebody. I overlooked Dwayne Grice a few minutes ago with Grice Connect, and then Al Hackle has come in with Statesboro Herald. I thank y'all for the work that you do.
Now, I wanted to add to that question. I know we didn't expect this much rain, but was the county prepared enough adequately for this much rain?
I believe we were prepared for what we were getting on the weather reports. And in my own observation, we knew that Debby was tracking slowly, but it seems that when landfall occurred, it slowed down even more. I think I heard it was as slow as 7 miles an hour going northeast. So I think that gave the storm time to just hang over us and keep the rain coming. So, merely it's an act of God. and you can't always predict what those acts are going to do. Some will remember that, I don't recall which hurricane it was, if it was Michael or another hurricane, but there was something that, there was one a few years ago that was going to be on dead on center for Savannah, and it just kept skipping along the coast. So you never know how these things are going to occur, but we have, as Corey would tell you, emergency operation plans, pre-disaster plans, hazard mitigation plans, and we always follow those, and I concur with the chairman and the sheriff and everyone else, really. Yes, we were prepared. We were prepared in advance. We are continue to be prepared in response, and will be even more prepared in recovery.
I have a question when it comes to flooded homes. There's a lot in this area that have been flooded. People woken up really early in the morning for y'all going in and evacuating them and rescuing them. I know you said a number about how many evacuations, but when it comes to houses, what have you seen? Have they just been in flood zones, or have they been in additional areas that you've seen them flooded?
Most of the houses that we've seen, they have been in flood zones. Some of them are just outside the flood zone, but then if you look at the houses that are down the road, it's from a dam that was in a different county that flooded, that brought the water. It's typically not in a flood zone, so it's a mixture of.
So if these dams were to break, it would potentially impact more houses just down the road, you know?
Correct. This was a Scriven County dam that breached and flooded homes in Bulloch County, yes.
And which dam was that? And you said there have been 4, perhaps smaller ones in Bulloch County, dam breaches, right? Which dams are
Correct.
those?
I'll let Mr. What's the Scriven County dam? You know the name? We'll get to the Scriven County dam, but for Bulloch County, it was Bowen Pond, Oglesby, Lake Collins on the soft side, and the last one was Simmons Mill Pond dam. Yeah.
For the people that have been displaced, I know we have shelters set up for those people. What's the long-term plan for those people?
Want to address that? Dwayne, you've been on the phone with some folks.
We were working with Cedric. I'm Dwayne Grice with Bulloch Boad, the hat I'm wearing today. We're working with Cedric actually in Savannah. Cedric is a long-term recovery organization out of Savannah. What we've done in the past with them is we've set up a local fund like they'll be doing in Chatham County. We'll do the same thing, and we'll be working with, relying on GEMA and the state agencies to help us vet that through the long-term recovery. So we're actually making requests for evaluation for MUP kits and for those type things now. A lot of the homes that we're in, there will be totaled. And so that's a huge issue and a huge concern. It's an excellent question, and it's one we don't have an excellent answer for, but we're certainly working to put a plan in place for that.
Sir, you said that one part of I-16 is close to potentially being overflowed. Where is that, and how close are we, and how critical could I-16 potentially have to get shut down temporarily?
Well, we weren't prepared to put anything up before the conference because I just got that picture on my phone just preceding the conference. But the water level is very high along the I-16 roadway. It's basically in the ditches. It's what I think we call it the sinkhole road area.
Skater Bowl overpass.
Yes.
I'm familiar with that. It's one down 301 side, correct?
Yeah. It's not very far away from our industrial park on 301, but yes, if there was more water flow, it could wash over the road. GDOT is aware of it, and we're also getting reports of other, not so many state roads, but local roads where we're getting more washout reports. And if something does happen at I-16, we had a conversation before the conference. Without DOT here, it's hard to say. But if I-16 were shut down, we're not sure how traffic would be rerouted. And if it's rerouted up through Statesboro, that could be significant, or down through Claxton and 280, it could be significant. And again, when you hear the rain on the rooftop, we don't know what's going to happen, but we're monitoring the situation very closely.
y'all mentioned expecting some more damage to come. Is that kind of like the dams and more of the same kind of flooding and over roads and that kind of thing?
As we can hear, we get more rain right now as we speak. By the grace of God, I'd ask everybody to pray. If you hadn't, you get down on your knees and start praying without ceasing. We need a little relief, but we also need Him to guide us to be to deal with what we're going to be handed. I want to touch on something y'all said earlier. You asked about how we ended up where we're at today. As a young boy, I remember a lot of historical stuff in this county, and that would be Oglesby's Mill Pond, Collins Lake spillways, all of what you call the Upper Locks Creek corridor down to Lower Locks Creek. That is a historical valued river reservoir, and it is now basically gone. It started with Oglesby's Pond, flowing through Collins Lake, right on through Motor Portal Highway at Upper Locks Creek Church, right on down to Kelvin Pond Road and that pond, right on into Cypress Lake is dealing with it right now, and as far as I know, still handling it. It's not given away yet, but it is going over the road in that area. I feel like I've answered that question. We got the rain, but we've got old stuff that was worn out and tired, and we just time for it to give way. They did the best they could. Those people that are in charge of those gates to lift them. But when they can only handle so much, it has to go somewhere, folks. And that's where we're at right now. We just had a lot of rain that didn't stay in certain places. So it went on downstream to other places to cause problems. And not one person's fault. It's just something we'll have to deal with, and we'll all work together to get through it.
Sheltered people, how are they being accommodated? What kind of facility is there? Is there a need for anything long-term?
Again, Dwayne Grice, Bulloch County VOAD. VOAD is a voluntary organization. VOAD stands for Voluntary Organizations Active in Disaster. We're a non-paid, non-asset organization. I'm not an employee of the county. I'm just a volunteer. I want to clarify that. We were activated at 2 a.m. this morning when we got the call from Emergency Operations Center. We were working cohort with the EMA and Public Safety Director to activate the shelter. Our shelter was Pittman Park Church that we had pre-planned. As Chairman Thompson said, we had Pittman Park Church and we had First Presbyterian. That's our secondary shelter. We brought in cots. Initially, we brought in about 10 cots. We learned very quickly that wasn't going to be enough, so Director Kemp made a request through the Web EOC for further assistance. Organizations like Red Cross, Salvation Army now have responded. Red Cross has two shelter representatives on the ground. We have representatives from the Department of DPH here at the shelter that's helping us through it. But this is kind of an unprecedented thing for us. The only time we've had anything like this that we've sheltered this number of people was Matthew, as you recall, and that was a very short storm, just a couple of nights. They're predicting, as you've heard today, the river not to crest until Saturday, so we've got a long-term situation here. We have the capacity for 50, and we are providing them basic essentials at the shelter. I think that was probably the context of your question, Al. So they have cots, they have bedding, and they have food. We have local organizations that have very kindly donated the food. Chairman thanks some of those organizations that have done that. And we'll have long-term caseworkers coming in. Primarily, case management is done by American Red Cross in these situations. BPH will be involved in that as well. And we'll just be evaluating on a case-by-case basis. Quite honestly, as I said earlier, a lot of their homes are not going to be able to be returned to. So, and it's a large number of homes from what we're seeing. And if one of these larger dams breaks, like Cypress Lake, that's a real paradigm shift for us and for this community. As the sheriff said, prayer is certainly something we need right now, Al, because we have plans in place, but this is unprecedented. And it would be the closest thing to this, Al, would be Little Lots Creek fire, where we had 12 families displaced, and that was a long-term recovery effort for them. And the community came together. We raised a lot of money. We were able to put most of them in hotels. We're struggling with hotels right now because you all know Georgia Southern Moving Weekend is this weekend. So starting tomorrow night, there are no hotels in Statesboro available. So that also has created us some pressure and some problems. So we have people we know are in hotels currently. that have been reaching out to us today that do not have hotel access or family access. So we think that's probably going to raise the numbers in the shelters. But it is a bare bones shelter. You're welcome to come look at it. I invite all of you by Pittman Park Church to see the operation. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Any further? Anything further from anybody?
I want to thank y'all for joining. I want to thank the folks that are joining us from home. I want to thank the media folks that are here helping spread this message. This is a long-term operation. This is going to be a marathon, not a sprint. And so we are already heavily involved and will continue to do so. Lots of county crews, public works, public safety have been working around the clock. Big thank you to all of those folks that have put themselves out during this storm, put themselves in jeopardy, trying to help their neighbors, and we will continue to do so, and we'll continue to update the public as much as we can with information in a timely manner. Well, thank you all for being here.